Bob Marley is one of the most iconic musicians of all time, and his contributions to the world of music are incomparable. He is known as the King of Reggae, and his music has touched the hearts of millions of people around the world. But what would have happened if Bob Marley didn't die? The answer to that question is shrouded in mystery, and it's something that we'll explore in this article. Please subscribe.
Because them themselves, I try find the way every day them get up and look on the TV, them read the newspaper, them want to see the truth. But them can't see the truth because the truth will not be found there.
Born in Jamaica in 1945, Robert Nesta Marley began his music career in the early 1960s. He formed the group The Wailers with Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer, and they quickly became one of the most popular groups in Jamaica. Marley's music was a fusion of various genres, including reggae, ska, and rocksteady. His music was influenced by his Rastafarian beliefs, and he often sang about social justice and political issues. In the 1970s, Marley and the Wailers became international superstars. They toured extensively, and their music was embraced by people all over the world. Marley's music was a powerful force for change, and he used it to spread messages of love, unity, and equality. But despite his success, Marley's life was not without its challenges. In 1976, Marley was shot by unknown assailants at his home in Kingston, Jamaica. The attack was believed to be politically motivated, as Marley had been involved in Jamaican politics and had expressed support for the socialist government of Michael Manley. The shooting was a shocking event, and it left Marley with serious injuries. But despite the attack, Marley continued to perform, and he went on to release some of his most iconic albums, including Exodus and Uprising. Tragically, Bob Marley died in 1981 at the age of 36. He had been battling cancer for several years, and the disease ultimately took his life. Marley's death was a devastating blow to his fans around the world, and it left a void in the music industry that has never been filled. But what if Bob Marley didn't die? What if he had lived to continue making music, touring the world, and spreading his message of love and unity? It's a question that many people have pondered, and the answer is not as straightforward as it might seem. On the surface, it's easy to imagine that Marley would have continued to be a force for good in the world of music. That he would have continued to tour, and he would have continued to release powerful albums that inspired people around the world, and that his message of love and unity would have continued to resonate with people, and his music would have continued to be a powerful force for change. But there's a darker side to this question as well. What if Marley had continued to be politically active? What if he had continued to speak out against injustice and corruption? It's possible that he could have become a target for those who opposed his message, and his life or reputation would have constantly been in danger. As for Marley's music, it's possible that it could have evolved over time. As he grew older, he may have experimented with new sounds and styles, and his music may have taken on a different tone. It's impossible to know for sure what Marley's music would have sounded like if he had lived, but it's likely that it would have continued to be powerful, uplifting, and inspiring. Perhaps the most intriguing question of all is how differently Bob Marley's continued presence would have impacted the world. Would his message of love and unity have had a greater impact if he had lived longer? Would he have inspired a new generation of musicians and activists to continue his legacy? One thing is for certain. If Bob Marley had not died, the world of music would be very different today. His influence would have continued to shape the industry, and his message of love and unity would have continued to inspire people around the world. In many ways, Bob Marley's legacy has already lived on. His music continues to be celebrated and loved by millions of people, and his message of love and unity continues to inspire people to this day. If he had lived longer, perhaps he would have continued to tour and release albums well into his 60s or 70s. Or he could have become a political leader, using his fame and influence to affect change on a global scale. Ultimately, the answer to the question of what would have happened if Bob Marley didn't die remains a mystery. But one thing is certain: his impact on the world of music and on the hearts and minds of people around the world will never be forgotten. His music and his message will continue to inspire people for generations to come, and his legacy will continue to shape the world for many years to come. As we continue to grapple with the challenges of our time, may we be inspired by Marley's example and work towards a more just and peaceful world. One love.